Hey YouTube, how's it going? Today I'd like to walk you through my answer to this Stack Overflow question. Changing marker style in scatterplot according to third variable. This question was asked by user KRN or Kern back in September of 2013, so it's been a while. The question says, I am dealing with a multi-column dictionary. I want to plot two columns and subsequently change color and style of the markers according to a third and fourth column. I struggle with changing the marker style in the PyLab scatterplot. My approach, which works for color, unfortunately does not work for marker style. So what Kern has here is he's trying to plot X versus Y based on a scatterplot, and then change the markers based on some value in this third list M. Now obviously K, L, and J aren't actual marker values for matplotlib, and so instead he is replacing the letter J with an O, which would be a circle, K with an X, and L with a plus and or cross sign. So what I usually do with Stack Overflow questions is I copy everything and I take it over to my notebook and I try to run it all. So I'll start with a markdown cell, and this is just so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth with the other tabs. I get this. Now I'm looking through the code here and copy it, paste it here. The first thing I'm going to notice is if I want to plot anything, I've got to import matplotlib. He says he's using, or Kern says he's using PyLab, but PLT is pretty common with matplotlib.pyplot, so that's what I'm going to use. So import that. I also noticed that he has X range, which hints that he's using Python 2, and I'm using Python 3. So I'm going to change that to range, and I'm going to attempt to run it. So immediately I get this error, which I'm assuming Kern is also seeing. And it says unrecognized marker style, this list of markers. So if we open up plt.scatter documentation and we scroll down to the marker parameter, which is where the issue is happening, we can see the definition says the marker style, or marker can be either an instance of the class or the text shorthand for a particular marker. So text shorthand are these right here, this O, X, and plus, which he's also got here. The problem is that he supplied a list, but marker in plt.scatter takes either an instance or text shorthand, so a singular object, not a list. And so because of that, that's why it's not working. If you look at the other two solutions, you'll see that they also use a for loop to iterate over M and then plot markers one at a time or in groups based on those markers. While that works, I think we should maybe update the code a bit and try and do this without a for loop or iterative method. So I think we should use seaborn. So we'll start by importing, and now I will explain why we should use seaborn. So seaborn SNS has a scatterplot method. So if I open up the docs, we can see that there's a style parameter and a markers with an S parameter. Style is a grouping variable that will produce points with different markers, which is what we want, and it accepts name variables and data, or vector data being a list. So that would be our M. Now to control the shapes of the markers, we go to parameter markers, which is an object determining how to draw the markers for different levels of the style variable. Well, we can use markers to understand the O, X, and plus and apply that to our M style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy all this code again, come down here and paste it. This time I'm going to comment out the for loop since we're not going to use it, but I am going to keep it so that I know that a J means O, K means X and L means plus. I'm going to change PLT to SNS and scatter to scatter plot. Say X equals X, Y equals Y. Marker is not M, style is M. And markers are the different markers. So back in the documentation, markers could be a Boolean, which by default is true, a list of markers, or a dictionary. And so since we're gonna use a dictionary because Kern, KRN, has said that for the value of K, he wants an X, L plus, and J, O. So it might as well be easy enough to do this. So we say J is an O, K is an X, and L is a plus. Run it, and we get an error. So this one's different. It says value error, field and line art markers cannot be mixed. So I don't know what that means. So I'm going to copy it, go up here, paste it. And the first thing we see right here is a GitHub issue. So that's kind of worrisome. Usually we want to see Stack Overflow stuff here to get other people's answers. GitHub issues tend to worry me because that means maybe something's broken. But regardless, we will take a look. So this user, Genfly, appears to also have the issue, but he's noticed that it works when using lmplot, and she's using hue, not style, but regardless. But when she tries it with scatterplot, it doesn't work. It seems to be ignored. And then this is where down below, this MWMWascom says that markers actually works with style, not hue, which we've already known. So she fixes it, but it still returns this error like we have down here. And so this error can be traced back to the mixing of filled and line markers. So filled markers are like these: O, V, caret, left caret, right caret, etc. Notice that, so this is a capital X, notice that little x, or lowercase x, and the plus sign are not in here. So the difference between a filled marker is something that is filled, and a line marker, well, I'm not really sure on the definition, but I do know that this error is because they can't be mixed because they're not the same quote-unquote type of marker. So what we can do as a quick workaround is we can just pick some of these instead. So we'll say J is O, which is good. We could do a capital X, and we could do, I don't know, S for square, and run that. And it works perfectly, right? We've got our K, our L, and J, they all have a different shape. But if we go back here, why does it work for matplotlib.pyplot.scatter or plt.scatter, but not for seaborn? That would make me think that plt.scatter does mix them, but it doesn't. Hence why the for loop occurred. So when plt.scatter takes a new marker style or marker shape, it's applying 1 to all of the markers in that plot. So when they're iterating, they're actually taking points, giving them one marker style, plotting them, moving to the next marker style, grabbing the other points, plotting those on the same graph, and doing that until it exhausts itself. So they're never actually mixing, they're just plotting on top of each other. Hence why they don't get the error. Also hence why you need the for loop. But as a follow-up to this, in potentially an upcoming seaborn version, 0.11 here, I'm currently running 0.10.1 I think, and when I originally answered this question I was running 0.9 something. This may not be an issue anymore, but as a discretionary, if you're really trying to change the markers, it doesn't so much matter what the marker is as long as they're different when you're trying to look at different variables, right? Like, who cares if it's a plus sign or an X or whatever? I just want to know where's the different stuff at. And so going off that, you can actually completely remove the markers parameter. And seaborn by default will give you new ones because you said style should be different. And thus, this is my final solution. More of a one-liner than doing a for loop. Let me know what you think. If this helped you and you have enough reputation on Stack Overflow, please give it a +1. You can find me down here at the bottom. And if you like this video and my explanation, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to get some to see my other videos. Hit the bell when I drop a new one. Leave a comment if you liked anything. Leave a comment if you didn't like something. Let me know what I can do better. This is new to me, and I really want to keep going at it. But that's all for now. I will talk to you all later. Thank you.